Why? Why would you do that? I'm just gonna cut it out. Just
Do it
furiously
more.
shaking a bag. How is that good content?
Nobody said we had to make good content.
Nathan's like, it's been 5 years.
Background.
I don't know what to do anymore.
I don't.
You're listening to The Janchi Show, hosted by 3 Korean American adoptees diving headfirst into what it means to be adopted, Korean American, and more. And now, here's your hosts, Nathan, Patrick, and KJ.
Oh, wait, hold on. We're on video. I apologize. My hands are doing weird things to my face.
Who cares?
You're right. This isn't going to go on video. Welcome back to The Janchi Show. It's your boys, KJ, Nathan, Patrick, here with another episode in the new year, depending on how you celebrate it, of the Fire Horse. Is that right?
Yes.
Fire Horse.
BioThe
To those Koreans who celebrate. Happy Lunar New Year to everyone else, or Happy Spring Festival, I guess. Fellas, how you doing?
Great.
Why is it the Fire Horse? This is news to me.
So that's
No.
every 12 years
Okay.
there's the animal, but then within each year, like the zodiac calendar, there's also like an element attached to it. So like when Minty was born, she was a wood dragon, which apparently is like the best
Interesting.
dragon. But actually, now that I say that, if she's a wood dragon, I don't know how we got to Fire Horse, because it's like not that many years. Like dragon's 5th in the race, so I don't know when the elements shift over.
Yeah, and I don't even know how many elements there are, but I do know that there are the same, like kind of like what you said, fire, water,
There's
Earth,
5 elements.
wind,
Okay.
And also,
Love.
I'm just now
So maybe
realizing
they just alter every year then.
maybe I'm just an idiot, and I saw a Instagram reel, because I don't know how to operate Instagram anymore, and someone said like it's the year of the Fire Horse, and I just didn't validate that it wasn't like 4 years old or whatever. So maybe I don't know.
No,
Whatever.
it-
Fire
I
elements.
just-
I've just never heard of the element part of it.
Me
I knew
neither.
it was the year of the horse, but
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
So
I
Van
think
is also. Oh wait, no.
Oh,
He's too late for the year of the wood dragon, February 2024. It started on February 10th. He was born on the 2nd.
so he's not a dragon. He's whatever's before.
What was before
rat,
that?
I think.
Oh God.
So I think I got to remember all of Minji's books. I'm pretty sure this is good content, right? I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure that in the Chinese zodiac system, the dragon gives a ride to the rat because the rat couldn't cross the river. So I think it's rat and then dragon.
Interesting.
Rat / mouse. I think I don't
The
know, it goes
rat
back and forth.
Rat does sound correct to me, to be honest.
Okay, but is he a wood rat? That
I
sounds
don't
like
even
he's
know
like a
what to
like
type
he's
in
like a gang in a Broadway musical.
to discover it. Okay,
There's-
2023.
There's a list I'll send you, and also there's another list that I was gonna share with you that mixes the Chinese zodiac animals with the astrology as well. So there's
with
another one.
The Greek or
Yeah.
the Roman.
Yeah, and so it
Yeah.
mixes the two of them. It's a really interesting chart, but I'll have to send that to
And
you.
it's called the Enneagram.
Okay, so technically Van was born under the 2023 Chinese zodiac sign, which is the year of the water rabbit, specifically
Water
the black
rabbit?
rabbit.
I don't know anything about anything. Stop listening to this podcast. JK. please
Interestingly
don't stop.
enough, lucky numbers 2 and 6. I don't really care about the 6 part, but the 2, like that number is all over his life. So very.
Is it because he's 2 right now, or just like, did it just happen
He was
to be
2. He was born on 2/2/24, and he was born at 1:02 in the morning.
Wow.
So he be rocking the 2s. So
Okay.
very interesting. Okay. All right. Well, that is Chinese zodiacs with the Janchi
With 3
Boys.
Korean boys.
I feel like I need to be learning new stuff because I actually have lately. Actually, what is this show about? Beyond
God
this
damn it,
Chinese
you're right.
zodiac time, what are we doing here on the show?
It's not about astrology.
You're right. It's not 3 Koreans fumble through Chinese culture. It's 3 Korean adoptees who talk about their experience as adoptees in America. And we call ourselves the Janchi Show because Janchi Show is a Korean word that means to feast. And at the end of the show, we feast on a food or drink snack item usually from Korea, sometimes from other parts of Asia. But we also call ourselves the Janchi Show because we believe that if you're having a feast, it means you're having a party, you're celebrating somehow, and we're here to celebrate all the things that make our stories unique and all the things that make our stories the same. Because at the end of the day, we are all human, apparently. So that's why we call ourselves the Janchi Show. That's what we do here. We have guests on, sometimes just us. Yeah.
Babbing about.
Great. You do the best of explaining what the show is. Like, you are the most succinct, and you would think after 5 years, each of us could do a great job of it. But I struggled with it every single time. I'm like,
I feel like, you know what's funny is I feel like, Patrick, you're like, Janchi Show means, and then you're like, wait, which one does it mean? And that's where you get, but then after that, you're fine. Nathan, if I throw it to Nathan, he's like, oh God, I supposed to talk? Okay, wait, Janchi. Like, he's just like, fill for time. Janchi. Janchi Show means, and then he like gets into it, but he's like,
but he has the same answer every time. He's very consistent, and I feel like I'm just all over the place always. Yeah. You get mixed up by the first hurdle, and then you're like, oh my God, wait a minute, and then you're off. I've stumbled, and I'm just running.
Yeah, for me, I just never remember to do it.
It's fine. Well, I was talking about it because I'm like, this is going to tie well into one of the things we're going to talk about. But I was like, wait a second, we have jumped all the way to the end of the episode, so let's bring it back in. Let's rein it back in.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So what, Patrick? What were we going to talk about? What was the tie-in that made sense to you in your brain hole?
Oh well. Okay. So one of the things that we wanted to talk about was like, how do we feel 5 years on doing the podcast? And one of the reasons that I was bringing up I need to learn more stuff is because recently I feel like I haven't been reading as much, and I need to like be like literally locking into more Korean stuff, more just stuff in general, and I want to do that because I feel like I'm lacking in what I'm sharing with Van, if that makes sense. I feel like he's just doing all of his learning at school, and I am not providing any sort of supplemental learning from anything else. He just comes home and we play, and we're not learning anything while we play. We're just building a tower and knocking it down, which is a lot of fun. But I feel like I'm like, I need to. He's at a point now in life where he is pretty aware and he wants to learn. And I feel like I've just like not had anything. I don't know. I haven't been doing a good job of it. And I feel like 5 years ago, when we started this podcast, I was very much like reading every single book that we were talking about. And it feels like life has just become very busy, and it's different now. And I feel like I'm in a great place, and I'm like becoming more aware of things that I think I was doing 5 years ago that I would like to start doing more of now.
Yeah.
So that was the tie-in. I don't know how y'all feel about that, but
what do you think shifted? Like, what was the thing that made you stop taking in all that content? Was it just that like it became too much and you're like, you know what, I need to like stop? Or is it just that life got too busy? Like what do you think was the shift there?
You know what's really interesting? I think it's that I started watching a lot of YouTube. And that became the way that I've consumed information. Mm-hmm. Even if it's as menial as like a comic book review or a video, something about a video game, or it's about photography. We were talking about that off mic. But also, like in that, in addition to the busyness and whatnot of life, but just like I just feel like there was one day where I was really gung ho about wanting to make sure I was reading a lot last year in like January. And I think by February, I was just like, I had stopped reading completely, I felt like. And I don't think I really noticed it until the end of the year. And I was like, man, I really got to get back to that, as one probably does when a new year rolls around. So I wouldn't call it a resolution, more of like a priority shift. But I think it's just as Van gets older and becomes more aware, I'm realizing that maybe I'm not keeping up with him in the same way of like learning and educating myself and being curious. And I think, again, going back to the show, like when we started all this, like I was very curious and I was very eager to learn.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that I feel like I've learned everything that I need to learn. I think I've learned maybe 0.1%. But for whatever reason, it's just like I've become more easily distracted, more, I guess, invested in other stuff. Oh, the other thing I was going to say too, I think that shifted was that I started to produce a lot of content.
Yeah.
Whether it was other podcasts, whether it was doing stuff on social media, helping other people with stuff. Now I'm doing that for work. And I feel like the production part of it kind of took me away, felt like it took the time away from like wanting to consume. But I think one of the reasons I could do all of those things was because I was consuming. And so I'm trying to figure out what the balance is now. And I'm still struggling, but we trying. We aware.
Yeah, for sure.
I would say that's exactly correct in a lot of people's lives. That, I mean, why does one learn? Why does one research anything? It's to either utilize it, to know it, to to share it. And I think the way we share things is differently. I mean, some people take it and share it with, their friends or family. Some people go and produce podcasts or become speakers or write a book or things like that. And I think that's same thing for me. I mean, I 5 years ago, we were jumping into this podcast. We were talking with guests. We were learning. We were exploring stories. We were looking at different organizations that were out there. And then we attached to the ones that we felt we could, help out with. And for you were helping out with local, podcast, local community endeavors and stuff like that. Stores, you've been a speaker at a lot of events in the last, 5 years, whereas, my path has gone into helping out Con and helping people share their stories or their education or their knowledge at Con and keeping that going. So again, it's still learning. It's just, I feel like it's learning different things, but then utilizing those skills. So.
Yeah, I know that for Sarah, like her business is not content creation, but she has to keep up with that to get more clients and all that kind of stuff. And so I think she's also in that space of like, I need to be on social media, so I'm aware of trends, but I don't want to like waste all my time on social media because I need to be creating content. But then to be creating content, I need to find things that are like, make me curious, make me passionate, whatever. But then also like, I'm a parent, so my brain just needs a break. So I would love to just be able to like have a minute to decompress. So I think like I totally get that sense of like finding balance between like how do you take in content and then like also produce content and what does that interplay look like? I know for me, I definitely just like it got to be too much where not like in the sense of like I can't learn anymore, but actually where like I hit like diminishing returns. So like, there's kind of this like, and I don't know like what it is, but there's like this thing when you learn a new skill or a new whatever, like something that like interests you, you can like put in X amount of effort and ramp up to like 80% really quickly. But then if you put in that same amount of effort, you get like nothing. And so then you have to work like 5 times as hard to grow like 2%. And once you like plateau, then I feel like that's when the real work begins. And I think what I was feeling was, at some point, maybe in year 3 or something, I began to plateau and I just felt myself need to like, I need to like sit here. And because I wasn't doing as much production as you in terms of like thinking through content, using the content that I learned to like create new thoughts and internalize that and all that kind of stuff. And I think you generally maybe internalize things by like speaking it out loud and like working out loud. And that's fine. Whereas like I was like, I just need to like, So I think I was getting diminishing returns from learning new stuff. And so what I felt like I needed to do was I just needed to like let it marinate in my brain so that I could like start to like feel it and know it in my bones. And now that we've like restarted the podcast and things, I'm like ready to be like, okay, I'm armed with like 4 years of history of knowing what we've been talking about. And I'm ready now to do the hard yards to grow 3%, 4%, 1%, because I'm really interested in stuff. And I'm so grateful to my adoptee elders, not by age, but just by like how long they've been woke, if you will. for the work that they've done, because now all of that stuff is ready. Now they've already been guests on the show, and like they've sent us books and like all that kind of stuff, you know, and they've been so generous with their time and their efforts. And I'm like, oh, my elders, thank you for your gifts. I humbly receive them. I'm gonna go read all these books. And I just felt like I couldn't do before because I was so busy scrabbling up the wall to 80%, and then I plateaued, you know.
I think that's a really accurate way to describe my journey just in general. And I think like I think I've mentioned this on the show before, but something Emily and I have talked about recently is that when I came to consciousness, particularly around my own identities, it felt like in my mind I jumped back 10 years from 30 to 20, in that I was kind of entering into this college phase of like, oh, I'm gonna like, I'm finding myself essentially. And the thing that we've been talking about in regards to that is that was literally like a college period of time, like 4 to 5 years that I've been like in that mode and not really realizing that what I want to do and what I need to do aren't necessarily aligned in that way.
Yeah.
And it's been a struggle, because I feel like for even that first year was when I scrambled. Maybe not even the first year, maybe the first like 3 months was my scramble to 80%. And then part of my issue of constantly producing things is that, one, yes, I do internalize stuff by saying it, I think. But two, again, I think I've gotten over this hurdle of college, but I feel like I didn't ever really sit down and like have a college experience of learning in community with other people, but also learning on my own and like forcing myself to do that. So I feel like I lack a little bit of that skill. But then like I need to like do what you were doing for the last 3 years of just like, let me shut up and like just learn and read and internalize that way. And I don't have to comment on every single thing that's happening. And I think I've been really like struggling to get out of the reactionary, mindset that I've just lived my life in forever. Like literally just reacting to every single situation, whether it's as small as there's a mouse in the house or smaller than that. The trash didn't get picked up today, to the big stuff of like, oh, I'm always angry because I was separated from my biological family at birth, and like a bunch of other contextual stuff. But then like, oh, that's like fueling this reaction process. I say all that because it like influences and informs the way that I have both scrambled to learn very quickly, but at the same time, that quick learning is almost probably surface level, to the extent of I need to really slow down and build that foundation of knowledge, because I can recite a bunch of stuff, but that doesn't mean that I like know everything that needs to be known or that one could know about a thing, So, yeah, I don't know. You got me thinking.
There's a lot of content. I mean, a lot of those that ramping up that you're talking about is cool, because I get to see that with a lot of the people that we've met over the years, people that were coming to consciousness and just starting out. Now they've ramped up to create something, to create, their own podcast, or, they're speaking at, a con or across the country or things like that. And I really think that's pretty amazing. They're in a different stage of life than we were 5 years ago, or they are at that point. And so, it doesn't matter what their age is and whatnot. It's just their what they're wanting to focus on. And priorities change, as you said. I mean, our priorities of our families and jobs and things like that, that's always been, something that will change and probably constantly change. And, if we have time for whatever we want to focus on, I think that is the great level of time management that is always something that we have to deal with.
Yeah.
Sorry, can you go back? Because you said something that wanted to make sure I understood and heard you correctly, and I think I missed what you were meaning. You said like when we started the podcast, you had like 3 years that I think you said was like college, and then you felt torn between like what you should do and what you wanted to do. Can you be more specific on that, or maybe reiterate that a different way?
So when we started the podcast, it felt like my mind, like mentally, I felt like I was entering college essentially, and that I was discovering myself for the first time. And it wasn't just 3 years of doing that. Like, I feel like I've just now become aware that I have been navigating the world that way in the last like 6 months. And I think what I've been struggling
world, like in that
like I'm in
college
yes,
headspace?
but
Okay.
but the reality is my body is in its
Not in
entering
college.
mid 30s and not in
Yeah.
college, and my lived experience of be like trying to be an entrepreneur, going back into the corporate space, getting married, becoming a parent, like
Yeah.
those things can happen in college, but like my reality is that we are not in college right now. Like I have,
Yeah.
it's almost like I'm trying to like make up for lost time, you know,
Yeah.
or I'm trying to get time back.
Yeah.
And I think like the struggle has been that realization and figuring out like what I like the gaps that have been created because in my mind I felt like I was doing this and I really wasn't. I was doing other things. Like I needed to be doing other things. And not that I didn't need to be doing this, but like
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, so you're talking about the cognitive dissonance of
yes.
like feeling like you're not, we won't even say college, but I think maybe like early to mid 20s
Yes.
of like the world is new, I'm on my own, I feel like I'm like myself fully, I've gone through, like we'll say high school, college, whatever it is, I'm out, I've moved out, I'm in my own apartment, I've got a job, I'm making shit happen, I'm trying to like build my business, whatever. All those things that are like fine and natural and very like common for someone in their early mid 20s, right?
Right.
And then by that point, like you kind of figure out like, oh yeah, I built a successful business, or like I tried a couple times, it didn't work out, and I need to settle down, whatever, and get married. But you were doing that after you had gotten married,
Yes.
after you had a
10
kid,
years later.
after you had done the right. So then you have this like this cognitive dissonance of your headspace being 10 years earlier than where your physical presence is. And the reality of your life is like, I need to be a little bit more maybe like fiscally responsible or time management wise responsible or relationally responsible because I have these other concerns, these other realities that like maybe a young bachelor living in his 20s wouldn't have, right?
Yeah.
And so
Exactly that.
I totally feel that because I've definitely felt like even just like simply moving from Springfield to Dallas like has really done that to me. I'm like further behind like career wise, financially, home wise than I want to be. It's not that far behind, but it's just far enough to be like, this is really frustrating because I feel the opposite of you. I feel 10 years further along than maybe I live. And yeah, I think wrestling with like that kind of stuff in the midst of kind of all this identity stuff, which totally makes sense that you would feel that way because that's essentially what we went through. Is like, oh yeah, I just realized like I've fully separated from my parents, from my, and now I really have to forge my own identity. And I think the podcast was, at least Patrick, for you and I, very much like this is a very large identity shift. And actually that makes me curious, Nathan, was starting the podcast, was it as large an identity shift for you? And I asked that specifically because you had met your biological family, which I think would have already caused some identity shift there.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I'd already gone to a few adoptee groups in Los Angeles and some screenings and some things like that. Yeah, so I was dabbling in it. I wasn't fully immersed into it, and I definitely didn't know how much was out there until I started the podcast. So I think
you came into the podcast with your brain a little pre-marinated. Is that what you're talking about?
Exactly. It was a little a little amuse bouche. So.
Well, I think I've had this intrusive thought recently, and so I think this is why this was also a good topic to talk about today, is that I've thought a lot about like, man, I kind of wish that I didn't do any of this because then I would have, this would not have taken up 5 years of my life. I would not have been thinking about it. Like could be really focused on like the work part of my life, and my relationships wouldn't have suffered because I had devoted so much of my time to doing this identity work and being part of these communities. And and credit to Emily, she's like, no. She's like, it's good that you did this because we probably would have been in, or maybe not we, but you probably still would have been in a worse position, like maybe from a mental health standpoint, but definitely from like a struggling with my own identity and sense of self standpoint, because if I had not gone on it. And so it's like, I talk all the time about the multiplicity, allowing multiple things to be true and exist in the same space, and that's totally fine. And yet I really struggle to or I have been struggling lately to allow those things to take up that same space without being like, man, I really wish I would have just done that. Even when I have like the closest people in my life being like, no, that was good. Like, we're glad that you did that. It's still been like, I don't know, it's just been strange to have that thought, like, and part of it's the world, part of it's like everything, like if I didn't go on this identity journey, didn't start this podcast with y'all, like maybe I would not care about what's happening in Minneapolis or whatever, but like clearly I was caring about stuff happening at that time anyways. So I'm sure the dam would have broken some form or fashion, but
I mean, I had, it was about the time when I was considering moving, I think. I don't know how long I was in California. I'm trying to remember before I moved to Colorado during the show. Because it was in the first year.
It was not long. Yeah.
It wasn't long.
It was in the first year. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that for me is something that was helpful because I was kind of moving away from or a more diverse environment to a less diverse environment. Granted, Colorado is still, has great neighborhoods and still has some diversity and has families and people that I've met now that have similar beliefs and things like that, and that's great. But I was a little worried at the time. I was a little concerned, and I think the fact that we did have this podcast and just my opening up into other adoptee organizations led to being more comfortable with that move and not being surrounded by all of my old friends back in California, who most of them were Asian. And so that's right there, something that I really appreciate that happened during that transition. So,
yeah, totally. I think, Patrick, you were feeling what I felt when I came onto the show a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, what am I even doing all this crap for Minji for?
Sure.
Like not like the imposter syndrome, the intrusive thought, the whatever of like, I'm going through so much labor here, so much emotional labor, and like to what end, And I never want to recommend an adoptee listens to our show if I can tell that they're not out of the fog yet, or they're not woke yet, because it's so much mental and emotional labor. And if like, even though it's good and even though it's right, and there's a large possibility that it will happen on like anyways, if I can just like spare someone that, I will.
Interesting.
And because I'm just like, if you're not ready for it, that can be like really harmful, or any of that kind of stuff. So like, it's gonna happen naturally. Like I might say like, oh, I've got a podcast that talks about adoption, but that might be all I offer, that kind of thing, because it's so much. And so, that's a lot. And I hear you saying that. And Nathan, I hear you saying like grateful for the podcast, because I think like it's been the same for me living in Springfield. I was like, thank God that I've got this podcast. I've got my two boys, and I've got all the friends we've made through the podcast and beyond. Because I think it is like, you just need some type of consistency, some type of like, is anybody else feeling like this? Just to not feel like alone, just not feel like you're going crazy. And especially like with the world being the way it is and the world being the way it was 5 years ago, like that was so important, just to be like, am I even thinking about this and thinking about this in a way that other Asian people may not be thinking about this, even though it affects us kind of similarly, and all that kind of stuff.
Bro, I will say that like when I made the comment the other day, not on the show, but I was talking and I was like, I am angry because somebody's like, why do you, what's going on with the anger? And I was like, I had to walk away, and then I came back and I was like, I'm angry because for a lot of reasons, but at the core of the reason is something that I don't think many people who are not adopted would ever understand, and it's because I was separated from my biological. I've already said it on the show, but like up today, but like I went through that separation, and like I don't know that anybody who has not experienced something like that, past the like loss of a parent or parents in some sort of like tragedy or whatever, can like truly understand like that conversation. And I don't think that it's like a empathy, like a lack of empathy or whatever. I just think like it's just such a like a wholly unique situation that causes like, and like the foundational part of it that I am very glad that I've been on this journey and met you guys and met everybody else in this community that I've met and connected and resonated with, because it was like, oh, okay, these people do get it. And I think the original prompt was, are you better off 5 years on from doing the show?
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is like, I'm just different. And I do truly believe I am better off, because if I didn't do this, like my intrusive thoughts have told me, I would never have met anybody who I could have had that conversation with. And I for sure would be like shoving that shit down. So I am better off.
100% better off. Yep.
Yeah. I think you know what I realized, and I couldn't articulate it when we did our first live show, which was the first time that we all met, and it was the first time that we met, and it was the first time that I was ever in a adoptee majority space. And I think years later, having done a couple of live shows, been to con, et cetera, what I realized, and I think I said this probably years ago on the show, is when I'm in an adoptee-only space, I finally don't code switch anymore. And I didn't realize I'd been code switching my entire life. And I think, Patrick, that's what you're talking about, is like, not that people can't understand your anger, but it's that you don't have to do the work of explaining it.
Right.
It's just like you can finally let your hair down, and like, even if like I don't know that I mean maybe I would say that I'm angry all the time. Actually, I think more accurately, I'm sad all the time. But like, it's the same thing, right? For me, it manifests as sadness, like a deep kind of sorrow. For you, it manifests as anger. But like, it's because of adoption. Like, I've always been sad. I've always been a sad kid, and I've always known like there's some type of. We were literally listening to "Go the Distance" tonight because Minji loves music, and so I'll just like put on some Disney music for her. And you know, Sarah's like, "Oh, I can't hear the song and not think about this guy from our high school." And I was like, "I can't hear the song and not like basically break down crying," because like so many things like that, like the idea, like what's the line? I have often dreamed of a far-off place where a great, warm welcome will be waiting for me. Like, where the crowds will cheer when they see my face, and a voice keeps saying, "This is where I'm meant to be." I was like, that's exactly what I imagine meeting my family and like being in Korea and like stepping off that plane. And when I went to Korea, it was nothing like that, and it was a very different time. But like, when I think of Korea in my mind, that's the Korea that I'm thinking of. Like, that's the dream of reunion that I think so many adoptees hold in their hearts, even if they won't say it or if they've given up on that dream. I think that's the thing for so many of us, right? Like, just to be seen like that by someone who knows you and who loves you. But like the code switching of it, like, that's what we're talking about. And I think having done the show and having been able to identify that code switching happening in my body is a lot more, like, it allows me to be a lot more present and gracious with the company that I keep when I realize that's what I'm having to do. And gracious with myself, that like sometimes it's hard and I don't really understand why. Sometimes I'm like really tired and I don't understand why. And like, when I was talking with Sarah about it, she was like, "Do you think you code switch with me?" And I was like, "Yeah, kinda." And like, I know that you're my wife and you're like the person that I'm like, I let all my filters down with, but you're also the person that I love more than anyone in the world. And so, like, of course, I want to keep some of my filters up because I want to communicate effectively with you. I want to collaborate effectively and parent effectively with you. So, like, yeah, there's still some of that up there. And I want to make sure that, like, you can know me as much as you want to know me, which means I do kind of have to code switch so that you can understand that, like there's just so many layers of, like, on the one hand, yes, I am very unfiltered. And on the other hand, I'm like the most filtered because I just want, like, our relationship to grow and grow and grow, So I think, like, yeah, that's all that to say, when I'm in adoptee spaces, like, that's the moment where I feel like I can just be fully myself and not have that extra weight of constantly code switching and filtering your experience. That I can just be. And so, yeah, so I think that's, like, the thing that I'm most grateful for the show is, like, all the times that the three of us have been able to get together, whether it was for a live show, whether it was just, like, happenstance at a conference, or like, just as we travel to see each other, like, those have been so special. And actually the ones, like, with the three of us are probably the most special, even far and beyond just, like, even, like, my local adoptee hang. Sorry, y'all. Just because, like,
Slam.
but because, like, I'm doing the podcast with you guys, like, it's been the journey with the three of us, and they have been so wonderful, and they've, like, it's been wonderful to add to that tapestry, but, like, the core is here. And so, yeah, so I think, like, that's been really interesting and really wonderful, even though it's been hard and a lot of labor and all that kind of stuff.
You know what I just realized when you were when you shared that? One, thank you for sharing that. And two, I think that I have really been struggling, and I'm saying recently because I feel like the last 3 to 6 months I've, like, honestly, I've been really struggling with my own mental health, and it's been affecting every aspect of my life. But I think the thing that I not realized until you were just sharing right there was that I think I have been trying to not code switch with anyone. And I think that has become detrimental because I'm now become an ineffective communicator with people in my life because I'm like, you need to understand this. And it's just like, they're never going to understand it in the way that I need them to unless I can help meet them halfway and help facilitate that in a different way of communication. So I appreciate you sharing that because it's like, I was just sitting there, I'm like, I'm like thinking about conversations I've had even as recently as last week. Like, I am 100% trying to get them to speak my language, and like, and I'm doing none of the work of, like, trying to meet them to have that conversation in a way that they can have it. Because also, I feel like it's like you talked about the labor of doing that, and I'm like, we shouldn't have to do that. But that's part of me not code switching into, like, being able to talk about it. You know what I mean?
I think also, to get to what we were talking about last week, the idea we shouldn't have to do that is true on social media, but it's not true in actual relationships. We talked about, like, kind of the inverse idea, but, like, when you're on social media, it means you're literally online. You have the whole internet. You have so many comment sections and so many threads and so many tweets and so many blog posts and subreddits and whatever at your fingertips that you, if you wanted to, yeah, you could do it. It's like 3 taps away, and 3 taps is being kind of generous. It's maybe 1 tap away. But when you're in relationship, when you are physically sharing the same air with someone, it's really rude to be like, wait, stop talking. I'm going to ask ChatGPT. I'm going to get some background information, whatever. Come back to me in about 20 minutes, and then we can continue having that conversation so that I can meet you where you're at. That's not how actual relationships work, But online, yeah, you don't have to immediately fire off a tweet. You can be like, you know what? I'm going to learn more, and then come back a little bit more educated, and then see if I still have something to tweet about.
I need to get rid of all my social medias, which is impossible because I now work in doing social media. But I'm like, I need to get out of that echo chamber. You're 100% right. Oh my God. We need to do the podcast every day so I can have these revelations.
It's free therapy, baby.
Fuck. You're right. Okay. I don't have anything else to say. I gotta mull on this in my brain.
Gotta marinate that.
I gotta marinate that. Yes. Oh. What else we're gonna talk about?
Well, so all of this, and I think especially, like, not the maybe more emotional bits of where you're better off 5 years ago than now, but especially the idea of learning and learning and learning, you hit a plateau. this really like came into stark relief for me in a kind of unique way. So my parents hosted 2 international students from South Korea when I was in 8th grade. I don't remember. I think I might have talked to them about them before on the show. But they lived with us for a whole school year. It was super great, and I loved having them. They were like my 2 Korean brothers, and whatever. But in 8th grade, after they left, I didn't really have a way to communicate with them, so we just kind of lost touch. Like, because it was like there was like email, but like not really. Certainly not for an 8th grader. Good lord. And so like there wasn't like a good way for us to stay connected, right? My dad runs into one of the students who live with us like years later at the airport of all places. And he was like, hey, wait, I know you, whatever. So they got reconnected. And then the student was like, oh, I'm getting married in a few months. I'd love for you to be there. So they were like, okay, cool. So they went to the wedding. And then they started exchanging Christmas cards. Then through that long exchange, they eventually like exchanged phone numbers. And then I don't know why they did addresses before phone numbers, but that's my parents. But yeah, so they eventually, so long story short, got invited over to their house for a lunch. And so I went with my parents, and it's him and his wife, and they were talking about like having kids, potentially looking at adoption, whatever, and kind of wanted to hear like my story and stuff, just because like they were talking about adoption. So yeah, so it was interesting. Like, so she is 2nd generation Korean American, and then international student obviously is 1st gen. And so just like it was interesting being in their house while we were talking. The wife asked my parents just like about my adoption and whatever, and she said something along the lines of like, it's so cool to hear like your stories and blah blah blah, and like to see like a successful adoption story. And that was like really striking to me. It was really striking to me to hear my adoption story again told while I'm sitting right in front of them, but like it wasn't words coming out of my mouth when I've had again 5 years of telling my own story. So that was like a whole weird thing. Like it really put me into a place, and she asked me for my perspective and like what I thought of things. And so it was just interesting hashing out some of those identity things. But yeah, the idea of successful adoption story really like caused me to be like, because like it was jarring language, I guess, in a way that like really took me out of it. And then I was like, would I consider my adoption successful? Who defines a successful adoption? Like what, all that kind of stuff, but to put a fine point on it, in the middle of that, we talked about a lot of language stuff. I got to use like so much about like Han and Jung and like the history of Korea, the relationship of post-war Korea with Japan and with America, just in the way that I kind of shape like myself. I got to ask my international friend about like whether his family celebrated Seollal. And like his wife was like, is that the harvest one or is that the New Year one? It's like, it was really funny. Like, but it came out so fluently from me because I've had these 3 years to like let that information marinate, sit in my brain, whatever. So that was just like to put a fine relief on this connecting tissue. Like having had it marinate, I was like, oh, this is peak. I feel so good about being able to like say all these things. And she was like, whoa, you really like know your stuff. And I was like, I've studied a lot, but it came out really naturally, and that was really nice. But yeah, successful adoption, that was the thing that was like, question.
Just to tie it to what we were talking about before, and you kind of answered it, I think, but I just want to make sure do you feel like that was the peak of your ability to code switch in kind of any situation in terms of having this conversation, or was it, I don't know. Yeah. I guess that was what I was thinking about.
So because there was a lot of other layers that I left out to try to make the story shorter. It was already kind of long, but the other layers are my parents are very Christian. This couple is like mega Christian. And I don't really talk about my religious stance broadly. It just kind of like, I have a lot of fluency in Christianity, would not necessarily consider myself a Christian. And so there's a lot of things about, I think the wife asked me like, oh, what's your like relationship to Korea? Like, did you want it to be like all that kind of stuff? And like I said on the show, I was like very great. I was like, yeah, my parents did it so good at raising me to celebrate my ethnic Koreanness. But then by the time I turned 16, I had like let go most of that desire because I wanted to just focus on other things. At that, I mean, I guess I could have said, but I was like, I wanted to focus on being a good Christian, but like, I didn't want that to like open up a whole other.
Sure.
But really, I was laying down my Koreanness in favor of my white Christianness.
Right.
And I didn't want to get into it, and that was not the time or place, but I did say, listen to the podcast. And she was like, oh, yeah, okay. So shout out if you're listening. But yeah, yes, it was just like all of this kind of stuff. So I was code switching and like trying to be like gracious to my parents and respectful of their religious kind of backdrop and foreground, I guess, that I was in the midst of. While also not being like, I'm not really that Christian, you know what I mean? Like, because that was so much of kind of the other conversation that they were having.
Yeah.
So all that to say, yeah, I feel like I did pretty good at the code switch.
Those conversations kind of, it reminds me of what you said earlier about online versus in person. Like you can't say, pause, let me go think of something to say. You have to come up with something in the moment in front of a person.
Yeah,
and
not
talk
I'll
about
tweet
it.
back to you in 20 minutes.
Yeah, and that's something that, I mean, I have had, luckily, I have had a lot of questions and comments come to me through instant message, DMs, things like that, where they're just cringy comments that like that I'm like, I'm happy that it's coming through that media, because I don't know how to respond to it sometimes. And I feel, I have had a couple in-person ones too, where I have had to just like come up with something on the spot and avoid any comments that are too
spicy one way or the other.
Yeah, exactly. And I hate that. I hate dancing around the topic. Especially with people who have been, like, say, family friends for a really long time. I think I remember telling you guys about something a long time ago when we first started the show or something, where we were having a conversation with, a family friend. And, I was making comments about, buying a lottery ticket or something like that, how I wanted to, I want to win the lottery. And he made a comment, well, you kind of already did, pointing to my parents. And
how can you explain all the being adoptee means in like 2 seconds?
Exactly. It's just
like,
cringy.
But you also don't want to be like, good one, because you don't want to like confirm they're like, so you can't.
It's almost like, I mean, I don't know how well I hide things like that. I think back in the day I probably could hide it better than I can now. Like now I feel like I don't even give a courtesy laugh or anything. It's just straight like, So I'm too old now. Whereas like I feel like that's one good thing about getting older is I feel like I can have more of a harsh opinion pretty quickly and not be too judged about it. So I'm gonna be that grumpy old man someday.
Yeah. Solid.
You just lean into the stereotype. It's all right.
Not a bad way to be. Yeah.
Not a bad way to be. Yeah. I guess I was going to say something about like, what does it even mean to have a successful adoption, and how do you even talk about that without without like I feel like it's labor? Hard. Yeah, without having to be like, well, my experience was pretty like quote unquote positive, I guess, but like I've met a bunch of other people and talked to them and learned about their stories where it was not that, and then it's like, oh well, it's like, well, I guess you could just listen to the podcast, but
and the context is like they're very excited to be parents, and they were just like talking about like what are the avenues to get to parenthood, and I'm like, I'm not trying to like rain on your parade right now. Like this is a very sweet moment, so like even if I wanted to graciously, I was like, this is not. You're not in the headspace for that. You're just like, you've got your own fears about like becoming a parent, what'll it be like, all that kind of stuff. I'm not trying to be like, oh, actually,
Yeah. Well, I think that's the other part of the labor is the not just like having to do the code switch or whatever, but it's like the managing of other people's reaction or feeling to whatever we might say that's literally valid because it's our own lived experience or what we've learned through this journey. And it feels like we shouldn't again, I think maybe we're just now talking in circles, or I'm talking in circles. It's like we shouldn't have to do that thing. And it's probably, I'm thinking that and feeling that because I have a lot of these conversations online, and I sit in an echo chamber a lot. And when I step into the real world or just in my house, it's just like sometimes I'm like expecting somebody to understand it in that way, or at least maybe not even like parrot in agreement, but like just know everything that I already know, when that's clearly not the case.
Yeah. Just always know exactly what Patrick is going to say and think at any moment, even if you're not
At any time.
him at all. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you don't, then you know what? That's apparently my fault. Just kidding. It is my fault.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, like I did say, I have a podcast about it because I didn't want to do the labor. And also, I've already done the labor. It's on the podcast for free.
Sure.
You can listen to it at your own leisure, like whatever,
I think that's something that we talked about recently, wasn't it? Was just like we could just point people to the podcast without having to get into the whole preamble of our story or whatever.
Another moment that I just remembered is so the church that my parents go to, the one that I grew up in, that church got a new pastor. So I met him separately from my parents, and obviously I look nothing like my parents, so he's not going to know that we're related. So I was just like, I'm Dave and Sharon's son, and I'm Jen's brother, blah blah blah. My sister's on staff, and so he's like, oh yeah, you're, and so I was like, yeah, it was like it came up. He was like, yo, yeah, so you're adopted, and he was just like, praise God for that, and I was like, well, maybe. But again, like in the Christian context, adoption is seen as a good thing for like 8,000 different reasons and all that kind of stuff. I'm not even going to tell him I've got a podcast about it, but it's just like, so like for me, like all of I say that to say like probably 80% of my, you're adopted reactions exist within a Christian context. So I'm like, I've gotten very good to be like, yeah, I've got a whole podcast about it, because I think if you decide to take the time to learn who I am, you'll be like, oh, I see how I might have made like a faux pas or, whatever. But if you don't,
that's a great point.
Then like, just stay ignorant. I'm not going to do that for you because I don't want to have the conversation. We're just here on a Sunday morning or like a Wednesday night or whatever. Yeah, just get out. I'll eat your food, play music for you. Good to meet you. All right, bye. Like just, it's easier for both of us to just be like, I've got a podcast if you want to listen to it. If you don't, whatever.
If I had a dime for every time I said I was adopted and someone else said something like, I have an adopted friend too.
I've got a cat. Like, no.
Yeah.
Nice.
Stop.
Yeah. Yeah, if I had a dime for every time someone said praise God after I said I was adopted.
God.
Like, all right, thanks. Bye.
Yes.
I feel like that would just get so tiresome. Even if you didn't do any of this, I feel like it would, even if you had never like done any identity stuff about adoption, like I feel like that would just hear that over and over again would be tiresome to me.
Yeah. And I thought we didn't have anything to talk about.
That's why I said in the text message. I'm never worried about a topic because I know we can always talk about something. Rarely, I feel like if we ever sat down, even when we didn't have a topic, and not had a good conversation.
Well, one time you almost threw up chicken.
I did throw up chicken multiple times.
On that note, I would love to find out. I mean, we've been doing this for a while. We've come back now where we're getting back into it. I want to know from the listeners what they want to hear. Are there topics that maybe somebody new or somebody who's listened from the beginning that would want us to talk about? I'd be very curious to know what those topics are. Because I know we usually just talk about random things or things that are on our mind, but what are the hot topics? Not the store
or the mild topics. They don't have to be hot. They could be like mild or medium spicy even. That would be fine.
I mean, that's why we had the phone number for a while. People could ask us questions and things like that, which I actually appreciated. I liked that.
I like the voicemails too. It's a great feature of the show.
We can bring the phone number back, but then it'll be a new phone number and it's fine.
We still have an email.
We do have that, but one thing we need to bring back imminently is our food portion. So we're going to cut to that right now.
Welcome back to the Janchi Show. We are here for the food portion. And as KJ said, I definitely do not want this portion to disappear. So we are trying.
When did I ever say that?
Well, you said something that we need to get back to is our food portion. So
Something we need to
the
bring
last thing
back
you said.
imminently.
All right.
Bring back
Yeah,
imminently. Yes. Yeah.
All right.
I'm all for that. Bring it back every time. Because sometimes we've skipped the food portion and I've been sad inside.
Nathan, yeah, his heart breaks a little bit. Nathan's like, if I had my way, I'd put the food portion at the top and also in the middle and also at the end.
Sounds lovely.
Yes, I would have breakfast, lunch, and dinner on the show. So today, as we are all dads, it's funny that I got this. I don't know if I got this as a joke or if it was just something that I saw that we haven't tried yet, but it's a candy and it looks totally like something I would serve my kids. I don't even know. Muzik Tiger. Soft
the brand,
candy.
I guess.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is that what the Hangul says?
All it says on the back is no. So my Hangul translated it to gurumi candy.
Kurimi.
It's
creamy candy.
So creamy. It says the soft candy that melts in your mouth is what it says below it.
So maybe it's like a cotton candy type thing.
That I don't know. I'm just curious. Why is there a tiger floating in the air tied to balloons? That's what I
Music does not look happy.
Well, yeah,
I'm gonna be honest.
I know he does not. He's not even got a smile. So
kind of like chilling. How did I get here? Who did this to me? Why?
He's like,
this looks like a ball of cotton candy, or
it does look like a ball of cotton candy. It smells good.
Oh.
It's not too strong.
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
I gotta try another one because I don't know how I felt about that. All right, same color.
I didn't feel good. Oh, you got a blue flavor again?
It definitely melts in your mouth.
I'm not gonna cool it. I'm gonna let it melt.
I think that's worse.
Yeah, it is. I don't like it.
Oh, the blue is weird. Oh, it's minty?
It's like a mint blueberry, which I'm not a fan of.
Wow.
It cleared my sinuses up, allegedly. Nose is running. Jeez.
I mean, it says the flavors are cherry, grape, and apple. The colors do not coordinate.
So the blue is definitely the
mint.
grape. Oh. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's
the blue is definitely apple mint.
Hyung. Yeah. So blue is apple mint.
It's
cherry's
deceiving
okay.
because
Muscat.
I feel like it's going to be good based on just looking at it. Like, those little you get them at restaurants sometimes, or they have them at the
the milk
host
chocolates.
stands.
Yeah, I love
No,
those.
they have like little like puff mints that are not the wrapped ones, but they're like
not
this.
the hard
They
ones.
look like this. Yeah.
Yeah,
But it does not.
But they
taste
melt
like
in your
that.
mouth, kind of like this. It's definitely hard at first,
Okay.
and here's what it is.
Okay.
Yeah, it's getting better. It was.
That's awesome.
I don't know what it was. It was very surprising at the front when you first tried it. I definitely am going to brush my teeth after that. I'll tell you that. Because all I taste is sugar. But it kind of reminds me of freeze-dried candy. If you've had any freeze-dried candy lately, because they've been selling a lot of it. At least my kids have seen it. Freeze-dried Skittles, freeze-dried Airheads, lemon heads, things like that. There's all kinds of different freeze-dried candies, and this is what it's like. It like melts in your mouth, but it's still sweet and it still has the flavor of whatever the candy is. That's what this reminds me of. But when that first one I had, it was very overpowering. I don't know why.
I do not care for the blue one, but this cherry one, I believe, the white one, not too bad.
Yeah, the red one's pretty good.
The red one is the cherry. The white one is the grape. And the blue one is the apple mint.
Are F.
Yeah. I don't know why you didn't get that. I was going to say the grape one tastes exactly like grape soju. So
I don't know if I like sucking on it until it dissolves in my mouth.
No, I'm chewing
Or
them.
crunching on it like a cracker, and then having it just stick in my teeth, building up cavities.
I definitely don't love that it sticks in my teeth.
Yeah, the blue one is not good to me. Well, the other ones are good. The only thing I'm pulling out is blue. I'm furious. I feel like I gotta eat them though. So if I throw them back in the bag, which has already happened, I just pull it right back out.
Yeah,
All right,
Okay.
reviews.
I like them. Okay. This took me on a ride. Initially, I was like, WTF. Then I was like, okay. And now I'm like, ow. So, yeah, like my tongue hurts and it's like building up on my teeth and like, so it's like doing bad things.
The
to my
buildup
mouth
on the
hole.
teeth is for real. Does
Yeah,
any went down my throat, or has it all just coated on my teeth? That's
Well,
what I'm trying to
you know,
figure
it's like when you eat a bunch of cotton candy, it's like that. Actually,
Right.
yeah, like maybe like it's like those mints, the chalky mints, not the like hard
out.
mints.
The chalky mints. There you go.
Yeah, at a
That is what
restaurant
they are.
that I'm always let down by. Sarah's like, oh, these are my favorite. I'm like, why?
Oh, really? I do like those mints.
I do like those mints too. Yeah.
No. No. I much prefer just like a solid hard mint, not the chalky ones.
If I had my choice, I want a green lifesaver. Or whatever the green mint bag is. Not the,
The
blue mint
winter
bag.
green?
Winter green, yeah.
Oh.
Interesting.
Ugh.
Okay. We'll get back
Sorry.
to your choice of American
Yeah.
mints later. This is the Korean snack portion of the show.
Well, go back to your tree licking.
Gross.
Damn. My
Hot
bad
take.
on my mint
Hot take,
revelation.
Nathan doesn't like winter green. There you go.
Yeah, geez. That came out way spicier than I would have thought.
I can't wait to have this conversation. All right, anyways.
Cherry's not bad. Grape is good, especially like because it tastes exactly like the grape soju. So whatever that like, I think that one's good. The apple mint is a insane flavor. Why you would combine apple and mint is beyond me. And why would you combine apple and mint and make it blue? Like literally just the optics of it, like red and green. Like why? Whatever.
And why put one
overall,
of those in there? Because it's like
I
all the
would-
others are fruity.
Yeah,
And
I
that was
would
like
give
got a
it
mint flavor.
3.5, I guess. Like it's enjoyable. I like it. I just wouldn't like. I would not polish this off. I'm actually for sure just gonna let Sarah finish this and then complain about her teeth later. So
I was
yeah,
gonna
3.5 for me. It's cute. It's super well packaged. But yeah, it's not for me. I can't. Whoa, wait. What is this one saying? This apple mint is screaming basak sak. I don't know what that means. I just realized it was screaming something.
I think I'm probably gonna have to give it that as well, 3.5, because I like 2 of the 3. I like the cherry and I like the grape. I do not care for the apple mint. And I was gonna give it a lower score because of how much I dislike that one particular flavor. But I'm like 2 out of 3, like that's 2/3. So I was like, oh, I guess that is 3.5 out of 5. So no notes on the other 2.
Wait a minute. I might be
Only
about to
over.
drop my rating. I think it has one of those silicone packets that you're not supposed to eat. That doesn't feel good.
In this bag.
Yeah.
I already closed
Oh, yeah,
mine.
it does. Silica.
It does have a silica gel. All right, I'm dropping it to a 3. What are you guys doing? Trying to kill me right now?
That's just for it's
Music
the
tiger?
moisture. It's for the moisture.
It says do
What
not
happens
eat.
when these things get wet?
Of course. They always say do not eat. Have you ever eaten it?
What happens if a child was to open this? You can't just give this
That's
to my
true.
toddler.
Especially one who can't read, do not eat.
Exactly.
Still,
She's not smart.
I was still going to go along with that with the 3. I think it's also a 3. It's just a little bit better than halfway. I liked it. The flavor was decent. It dissolves in your mouth, but I can just every time I eat one, I can hear my dentist screaming at me. So I am giving it a 3. So I've gotten away from straight sugary things. Like I can't handle cotton candy anymore.
You prefer gay sugary things?
I think no. I'm on Patrick's side. I think chocolate is where it's at. So anything that has some chocolate in it is where I prefer my desserts to be. This lately, but I do have to. I don't know. This is like a random hot take on something else, but Dubai chocolate. I don't know. I'm over it. I'm seeing way too much Dubai chocolate. So that's the other exception.
I don't
to the
even know what
chocolate.
that is.
You don't know what it is?
I do. I do buy chocolate. Nice. I always knew people like my jokes.
Oh boy.
Got
That
it.
person at the end there.
But yes, so yeah, I like that's where I'm sticking with it. But hey, I'm glad we could try it. I'll see. I'll let you know what my kids say.
Has your dentist ever screamed at you?
No, it's in my head. It's like a little.
They're about
compass.
to.
Well, the thing
Yeah.
that you even thought that, I was just like, has this happened before?
No, but 2 nights ago I had a nightmare about getting a cavity. So
What was the nightmare?
Is your dentist doing emotional damage to you?
no, but I don't know about you guys, but I had really poor teeth as a kid. Like I had a
also
lot
did.
of cavities. Okay. Like I feel like I had a cavity in every single one of my teeth at different times. And so I've been not traumatized by it, but because if I had been traumatized by it, I wouldn't be eating sugar because I still love sugar. But yeah, I just hate getting cavities and hate filling and hate this needle going into my mouth. I don't know. I think the worst thing that'll happen to me someday is like a root canal. I hear those are horrible. But
Not great. I had
You've had
dental
one?
phobia till I was about 33.
okay.
Because when I was a little kid, I had a lot of issues with my teeth, and I had to get my top 4 teeth pulled right in the front because they got rotted out. And until my adult teeth came in, I just was straight gumshoe. And
it's just-
could still eat apples and corn on the cob, so was rocking it. But I feel you, bro. I hate going to the dentist. Like it took me a long time to even be able to then work on my mouth without having some sort of like laughing
Physical
gas or whatever.
reaction to it?
anxiety.
Yeah.
No,
or
I
something.
needed something
Yeah.
to help me
Yeah,
sit down to
calm
even just do a
down.
routine cleaning. So,
Yep.
and
I'm
I'm
okay
like,
with cleanings,
I'm a grown ass man. Like,
Yeah, everything else.
Stop being scared of the dentist.
Yeah.
Wow.
I hear you.
Yeah, but I was just sharing because I feel you, Nathan. Like I understand the nightmare, even though I asked you what the nightmare was.
Literally it was something simple as just seeing a cavity and then like, oh, well, we got a cavity. For
Did you
some
wake
reason, I
up
could see
immediately
it.
and go, and then run to the
No.
bathroom and check? That's something I
just
would have done.
Ran to the bathroom to brush my teeth again.
Ooh, yeah. Don't overbrush. Have you ever watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Overcooked underbrush.
No, but I do know, yes, in my age, yes, the other alternative to cavities is now gum disease. So, no, I just
Gingivitis.
floss and yes. And that is our TED Talk. Thank you for visiting.
Yeah, I feel informed and sad.
I also feel sad. It's fine. It's fine. I have dental insurance now, so everybody's living life.
Woo, rock out. All right, somebody take us out of here.
Well, all we do on the show is hit home runs, and we hit another one tonight, episode 100, and we're coming in on 180, 178. It looks like in the title,
Yeah.
question mark. So it might not be true, but we're rocking
That's
it.
true.
Reiterating Nathan's point at the end of our conversation before we hopped into the food, would love to hear what y'all are thinking, what stuff you would love to hear us talk about on the show. Doesn't mean that we'll talk about it, but if you want to share it with us and
We'll probably
see
talk about it.
and see if we want to talk about it and share kind of what's going on in your brain, you can email us at jonchishow@gmail.com, or you can reach out to us in the direct messages at jonchishow on Instagram and TikTok and
Oh,
Facebook.
don't
yeah.
send us a DM on TikTok. Who does that?
The American government. Yeah, I think that's the 2 places that we are and have. Do we have a store still? Or we have merch at all to sell? Is there
Probably.
things for people to buy?
You can DM Nathan if you want to buy merch.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
True.
see,
We
that's
do have
service
He's the
right there.
leftover
keeper
merch.
of the merch.
I do.
Direct
have
shipment.
Leftover merch.
Yeah.
Come to
Direct
my store.
shipment. Come to Nathan's
Yikes.
store, aka the Janchi store.
He has candy that'll give you gingivitis.
I'll include some free candy.
It's not.
Candy that
It's
gives
not
you
winter
gum
green
disease.
flavored.
Oh my goodness. On that note, if you want to check out my hot takes on anything wintergreen flavored, you can do so on my personal Instagram at Patrick in the World, or on any of the number of podcasts that I do that you can find also linked in that space.
Yeah.
And on Instagram as Nowalk.
And catch me at KJ Roelke wherever I want to be found on the internet.
All right, boys, we did it.
Webs.
We
Good job. Good to see you.
Great to see you, and until next time, Janchi.
Janchi,
Heyo.